Wait, there's something very weak coming through.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm AA, Aaron Julian, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 134. Today, we are talking about that infamous Fox deal that made Lucas filthy, filthy rich, with Andy and Josh from the Holochronicles podcast. Welcome back to the show, Andy and Josh.
Ooh. Hey, thanks, guys.
Hello.
Good to be here.
What a great intro.
I appreciate it.
Filthy rich made me want to just like shout.
Filthy rich.
Made me want to Scrooge McDuck into a pile of coins.
That's the spirit. And joining me today, as always, Mr. Double D, Todd Hoffman.
Hello there.
You got two F's too.
Yeah,
we can't get away from it.
Yeah, we just got these nicknames before we hit record, so we're rolling with them right now.
Yes, we've been accepted as part of their tribe.
Right.
Yes. Welcome.
All right.
Welcome to the B&B.
How's that for intros?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, stick with us. We're going to go ahead and pay some bills.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Where's Heather?
Oh, yes. She's
in the Bacta tank.
She's currently floating in a Bacta tank.
Right.
She took a little stumble.
Wait, is it Bacta or Bacta? What is it?
Depends on your accent,
Tomato, man.
Yeah.
Tomato.
Yeah, it's like Han.
Depends on what part of the galaxy you're from, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
You Midwest
I
guys.
suppose if you're high imperial, it's a Bacta tank.
Perfect.
But if you're from, I don't know, Tatooine, it's Bacta.
Bacta.
Corelli, it's
Yeah.
Bacta.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But yes, well, let's go ahead and pay some bills right quick, because as we all know, it ain't easy living with a price on your head. You could find everybody here, except myself, on social media, WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. Email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. Leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. That's right. We want to hear from you, and you want to hear your gorgeous voice blasted across the galactic holonet for all to hear. Our entire back catalog of episodes and all links can be found at podcast.wstrmedia.com. I want to tell you why you should check out Audible.
Tell us.
Okay,
Why?
so there you are. You're smuggling some spice across the universe. You're traveling the galactic highway, and man, space is boring. There's nothing to do. There's nobody to get angry at with road rage. How are you supposed to pass the time? Well, you could just goof around, or you can make it productive. Actually learn something for once in your life. Find some entertainment, find some education in the downtime of your day. That is what Audible is all about. That is Amazon's audiobook streaming service, which brings you over 425,000 titles to choose from, wherever and whenever you want to listen on whatever device you want. Head on over to audibletrial.com/WSTR to claim your free 30-day trial, which includes a free audiobook of your choice and now 2 free Audible originals. So Audible, they make their own audiobooks that you can't get anywhere else.
Exclusive.
Yes.
They have a selection. And you could pick 2 out of that selection, and they cycle through it every month. Here's what's by the time this comes out, it's going to be over. Here's what you could have had
In July.
if you had gone onto it.
Right.
We recommended The Adventures of Tom Stranger, Interdimensional Insurance Agent. Have you ever seen a planet invaded by rampaging space mutants?
Hold on. You
got to
do it
dimension?
You got to do it in 1940s.
Ah, the whole thing? Okay.
Well, just
Have you ever seen? Yeah, do it.
Have you ever seen a planet invaded by rampaging space mutants from another dimension? Or Nazi dinosaurs from the future? Don't let this happen to you. Rifts happen, so you should be ready when universes collide. A policy with Stranger and Stranger can cover all of your interdimensional insurance needs. Rated #1 in customer satisfaction for 3 years running. No claim is too big or too weird for Tom Stranger to handle. But now Tom faces his greatest challenge yet. Despite being assigned the wrong and woefully inadequate intern, Tom must still provide quality customer service to multiple alternate Earths, all while battling tentacle monsters, legions of the damned, an evil call center in Nebraska, and his arch nemesis, Jeff Conundrum. Armed with his combat wombat and a sense of fair play, can Tom survive? And will Jimmy the intern ever discover his inner insurance agent? It's time to kick ass and adjust claims with Tom Stranger. So, Adam Baldwin.
Fantastic.
Adam Baldwin, one of the lesser Baldwins, unfortunately, but still up to the task, performs Larry Correa's madcap interdimensional tale of underwriting and space travel, where the only thing scarier than tentacle monsters is a high deductible.
Yeah,
that's what you could have had if you started your free trial with us at audibletrial.com/WSTR back in July. By the time you hear this, there's going to be a new selection out for you. We don't even know what it's going to be, but it's going to be good.
Can I plug
and
your
the only
plug?
way you can get it is through a free trial at audibletrial.com/WSTR. No risk, cancel anytime, no questions asked. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, now I'm going to plug your plug. I am a huge, I was going to do this in the cantina, but I am a huge Larry Correa fan.
Really?
He is awesome. So there you go. I don't care if it's August now when you're listening to this. Go look up Larry Correa. He's fantastic. So his Grimoire Chronicles, no connection to Holochronicles, but is fantastic. So there you go. Plug on a plug.
There.
Audible.
Awesome.
Audible.
And this podcast is brought to you by our merch store. Thanks to the good folks over at Teespring, you can head on over to store.wstrmedia.com. Take the hyperspace lane over to our Teespring store, where you can cover yourself head to toe in WSTR merch. We got hats, we got tank tops, we got hoodies, we've got yoga pants. We've got socks. We're working on gloves. We're almost there.
Yeah.
But
Driving
we got
gloves?
Winter is coming shortly. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
We got mugs, we got stickers, we got T-shirts. What else could you ask for? Head on over, rep your favorite homegrown, free-range, organic podcast over at store.wstrmedia.com. All right, we've paid our bills. Todd, why don't you tease the news?
Yeah, I can't do this as good as Heather, but I'm going to do it. So, first, Pink, then Batty, and then
Roy Batty,
and then FOMO.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's the worst.
Yeah, that's the worst. we could have a whole podcast just on FOMO, Star Wars FOMO. So there you go.
Wait, Todd.
Yeah,
do you hear that?
I do.
It's coming over the airwaves.
I know.
I think we're intercepting an Imperial transmission.
Senator! Intercepted Imperial transmission, Mom.
All right, this is from Charles Westcott from Conversations. Okay, so the other week we talked about what are the essentials for Star Wars, a new Star Wars fan, and we were talking about kind of viewing order. So, real quick, let's try. Josh, if you were a new person to Star Wars, what would be that viewing order for you?
Man.
Yeah, I know. I put you right in the spot.
Yeah, you did. So help me out here. Go just ask me that one more time, just because I lost you there.
Yeah, it's a very complicated question.
Now I'm a new Star Wars. Like, Star what?
Yeah.
No, my buddies always tease me. They call it the Star War. Are you still into that Star War? I'm like,
Star
no,
Wars. So
it's multiple.
If you're saying, hey, I'm new to Star Wars, you got to watch. You got to watch them all.
That's what I thought. Okay.
How would you watch them, or how would you suggest to watch
So
them?
part of me, Andy's going to have a good answer to this, but part of me wants it to be organic, as in how I watch them, where you have to start with the originals just so you can get that feeling, because, in my opinion, they are romantic in that way. So I think that it's okay to start with episode 4 and go through Empire and Jedi so that you fall in love with those characters just like everyone else would.
Yep.
And then have the same experience. All right, now do you want to know how Vader became Vader? So go back and watch the first episodes.
Yeah.
But I might throw a caveat in there and throw Rogue One in after the first, the prequels, and just go, okay, now do you get it? And then move on to whatever else happened after that. I'm just kidding. The sequels. I'm joking. But Han's got to go in there too. But so there you go. Yeah. So I say you have to start with the originals.
Okay.
I think it plays better that way.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
What do you think, Andy?
Here's what I think. This is a hot take.
No. Whoa.
hot take.
Getting some controversy up in here.
I don't think you need to see episode 1 or 2. I think you start right with number 3.
Right?
Because what do you need to know from episodes 1 or 2 that you can't surmise in episode 3? At this point,
you miss a ton of Senate battles.
The droids blow up.
Yeah.
So
we need to know where they blow up, how they blow up, when they blow up, how many of them blow up, and who is doing the blowing up.
And by the way, 2 words for you. Jar.
I've got a third word. Thanks.
Yeah. So here, I've thought a lot about this. Not surprised to Josh, but I think about things at night when I can't go to sleep like this. And so I say you start with episode 3. Because by jumping in there, you understand that Obi-Wan and Anakin are tight. Okay, and that's evident in the very first scene. The way they fly together, you know that those guys have been flying together for a while.
It's like Maverick and Goose.
That opening scene,
sans death.
That opening scene does more for their character building than the first 2 movies combined. Okay, like they got to be tight to be flying around like that, and then you also get that Anakin and Padme are in love and kind of have a hush-hush relationship. And you don't need to see how that happened because it doesn't matter. You get that Anakin is supposed to. There
it was.
You get that
11 minutes in.
That you get that there's a prophecy that Anakin could possibly be filling, and that there's some skepticism within the Jedi Order about whether or not he's actually the one. And then you also get Palpatine is actually running the show from behind the scenes.
Right.
So you get all of that in episode 3. You don't get all of the backstory, which I know there are parts to 1 and 2 that I really, really love. But if I wanted to get a new person in, I'd start them at 3, do Rogue One, which kind of goes off to the side for a minute. But then we get into the original trilogy and then the sequels. Yeah. And so I wouldn't bring up 1 and 2, or even though I loved Solo, like that one is, I think, too much of a deviation off of the original storyline. That's why it's a one-off movie.
2 off.
But I think Rogue One has. I think Rogue One has. I think Rogue One has enough original storyline in it to keep it relevant to the like the George Lucas storyline. So
gotcha.
So that's how I would broach it with a new Star Wars fan.
That could be the shortest answer Andy's ever given to anything. I'm just kidding.
Well, thank you.
It was only 7 minutes long.
Right. Oh, right. Well, that's what he was thinking about when he couldn't sleep.
That's why That's why you're glad I was thinking about it. Otherwise, we'd still be talking.
Right.
Oh man.
Exactly. Okay. So getting back to Charles West, he has, this is awesome, the ultimate watching order for Star Wars animated and live action.
Ooh.
So he's taking it up a notch with the live action, with the live action and now the animated. So so basically A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, then going Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and then he's going Star Wars Clone Wars, and he lists like all these episodes, which is fantastic. It's almost in, I would say, chronological order of how the Clone Wars were unfolded. Because if you didn't know that, Clone Wars, just like Star Wars, it's not chronological.
It's not totally linear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's totally not linear. So he lists all these great Clone Wars episodes. Then he comes back to Revenge of the Sith. That makes sense. And then Star Wars Rebels. And then he goes into Star Wars Rebels episodes that you should see in a chronological order. And then back to Return of the Jedi. Then Star Wars Rebels Season 4, Episode 15, Family Reunion. Okay, I didn't even know That was the thing. Then he slipped in The Mandalorian, which we haven't even seen yet.
Wow.
Wait,
Then
no Ewok adventure.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Cowl of the Caravan or whatever that was called.
It's
Caravan of Courage.
lost to time.
Caravan of Courage.
Courage, and no Star Wars holiday special. So I mean,
That's out.
It can't be the.
I don't know if this guy's reputable at this point.
But he's definitely thought a lot about this more than me.
I like
Yes.
it. I want to try it now. That sounds fun.
So then he Mandalorian, just slip that in there. Then Star Wars Resistance, and then Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and of course we end with Rise of Skywalker. That is a pretty.
That's pretty
ultimate-
cool.
Yeah,
I like
pretty
it.
ultimate list.
Well
I
done.
will say this.
Yes.
I don't want to sit through all the seasons of the Clone Wars, but I could watch 20 episodes.
yeah,
I'm with
He
you there.
lists
And-
out- yeah.
It's like these are the most important, like forget the rest.
I'm with you.
Like I appreciate that. So
Yes.
yeah, if you listening at home want to be in on this, head on over to conversations.com or just Google search from your phone or whatever. UPAC Machete, UPAC Machete. That is the name
love
of this
handles.
viewing order after the famous Machete order. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. So that was our intercepted Imperial transmission. It was a long one.
No doubt.
Yeah, that was a long one over the HoloNet. But that's
Heather's
okay.
rolling over in her bacta tank right now.
Exactly.
Oh man.
All right.
Todd,
yeah.
speaking of unfettered madness, let's
go
go
to-
straight into Twitter.
There you go. Let's go to Twitter Trash Compactor.
Get in there, you big polio! I don't care what you smell! Get in there, don't worry about it!
All right, every week we are talking about the old Twitter with our poll. So, episode 132, we talked about those essentials, and here we go. Where is your knowledge strength? What category would you pick in Star Wars trivia? What is... Okay, yeah, 4 choices in Twitter. So, it is...
That's like Jeopardy.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to do. Thank you, Aaron, for calling it up. Starships, movies, characters, or the EU/legends. So I'm going to go, Josh, what do you think?
I'll go with characters. It's funny that Starships got straight 0%. You know what? I might go with Starships just to be the 1%. And at this point, it seems like I'm the expert. So
Exactly.
I might grab that. I'm going to go Starships. All right. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
All right.
I mean, I have enough that I could
yeah.
pull 5 or 6 out.
Right. All right, Andy, what do you think?
Merchandise isn't one of the options. I would probably have to go, and this would maybe take a little bit of brushing up, but I did read darn near all of the old canon extended universe stuff.
There you go.
So I would probably either say characters or EU. That was
Okay.
EU is one of the choices, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, Aaron, what do you say? What says you?
I'm gonna be a basic bastard and just go movies.
Ugh.
I am not. I would not classify myself as an expert in any of the other categories. So, but boy howdy, if I've seen the movies. So, as much as it pains me to say, I'm gonna go with Twitter on this one.
Wow. Okay.
Got to do what you got to do.
Todd.
You got to do what you got to do.
I know. Todd, you have
this one-
thrown the gauntlet, and I have been found wanting.
Yes. I think I would do characters over EU, even though I read like 95% of the EU. I don't memorize very well, so I know I probably like lose on some like weird question, and I'd be so mad. You're like, I read all the books. I read the secret texts, So I would have to go with characters because I feel like I could.
I feel like we have a
that.
panel here. We covered everything. So we are a panel of experts on these 4 categories.
That's right.
Have you guys gotten
should go on Family Feud.
your acceptance invite from Bob Iger to be on a panel at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim yet?
No, yet. No,
yeah,
I'm
I think
sorry.
ours has got stuck.
Hold on, let me
in
check. Let me check.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Just nope. Refresh. No, nothing.
Nothing. Okay. All right. I thought maybe you guys have gotten yours before us.
Yeah, I just
but,
didn't know if maybe
right.
they were going out. today.
Right.
Yeah, it's in my pocket. In my other pants.
Right. So, so Twitter voted movies. So there you go.
There it is.
It makes sense. I mean, it's the most probably you've seen of it, so it should be easier from a trivia perspective to kind of lean on those as much as you can. So there you have it. So every week we're doing polls, so check them out on the old Twitter. And thanks for everyone that voting. So all right, it's time for our main topic.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right, gentlemen, you're on the hot seat. You're on the firing seat. So I'm going to start with Andy.
Let's do it.
How the heck did you get into Star Wars?
So I'm 42 years old.
Okay.
Return of the Jedi was the first movie I saw in the theater. And I was about, I think 6. I think I was 6 when that happened. So I was born in 77. And I had a couple of older cousins that were a big influence on me, and they were really into it. And so by just being around them, I became into it. But I quickly got distracted from Star Wars with G.I. Joe.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like girls or something.
It's 6, man.
I had all my Star Wars toys playing against the G.I. Joe guys, all the time. We were mixing and matching it up.
Serious EU right there.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But that was how I got into it. My dad took me to Return of the Jedi, which I loved, but I had seen the first 2 movies on beta at my cousin's house, and they were kind of the first ones that Aaron Beta is a version of videotape that they used to show. Okay, all right. I'm just making sure.
Don't worry, you didn't lose me.
This is physical tape.
Yes,
you have to rewind it.
Yeah. It's
right.
it's bigger than a cassette tape and slightly bigger than an 8-track. So
right,
and it sucked.
Yeah, laser discs were way where it was at later. But
I've got a New Hope on Laserdisc, actually.
Excellent.
I love it.
Have you seen it on Laserdisc? Actually played?
Nope.
Oh,
THX.
come
man.
on over, man.
THX.
Come on over. But anyway, that's how I dipped my toe into the Star Wars universe. It was my 2 older cousins that were that brought me into that world, and then my parents allowed me to continue that love. And then once the prequels rolled around, that's when I got
it was all on. Yeah.
I was about 20 years old and just getting out of college, and it was like, hey, I got a little disposable income. I'm gonna start buying some Star Wars stuff. So that's how.
Of course, duh.
Yeah, I mean, what wise 22, 21-year-old male isn't gonna start decorating his crappy apartment with toys?
Yeah,
so.
I have no idea what these figures are because they're not even out yet, but I am buying them all. Thank you.
Did you say I'm buying all mall? Because I did do that for a little while.
Right, just all mall.
And mall.
Right. All
All right, Josh, how about you?
Our stories are pretty similar. I think, what are we, a week apart in age? Which is silly. We're not twins, but yeah.
Okay.
Same thing. The first movie I recall is also Jedi. Although my parents told me that we went to a drive-in. I have like vivid memories for Empire, or not vivid, vague. But for Empire, like at the drive-in, but I think maybe those were made up in my mind. I don't know.
Aaron, a drive-in is where you go park your car.
You drive in
and you
to watch a movie,
and then watch a movie on a huge screen.
Yeah,
over the AM radio.
Yeah.
Right.
So but I thought about this question a little bit too. I think when I really got hooked, is at Christmas time when Mom and Dad went all out. I think Mom and Dad were fans of Star Wars, and then they kind of passed the mantle on to me as the biggest fan, and they stopped giving themselves props. They're like, no, this little nerd is really into it. But I just remember that under the tree was the AT-AT or AT-AT. There's controversy over that too, but it was there, and I just remember like seeing that and going, oh my gosh, It's in, yeah, Andy. It's under the tree. But yeah, it was there.
There's two of them?
Yeah, there's two. There was like four, yeah. But anyway, that was the first time that it stuck in my brain that Star Wars was a real thing for me.
Yeah.
And then a funny story about that, of course, Santa brought me that. Spoiler alert. And then later on, I found the box. Like
Santa for Aaron. Santa is a red guy.
He's a guy. He's a fictional character that flies in a sleigh.
Whoa! I need to take notes. I gotta keep up with all this.
So anyway, I ended up finding the box to that, which is hilarious now as a collector. I'm like, should have grabbed that box and vacuum sealed it and ran with it. But anyway. And then, on to Phantom Menace. I stood in line for that, dressed up, and as beyond. What? Just, you're just your stock Jedi in a robe. I mean, Obi-Wan-esque.
Bathrobe and a plastic
monk
stick.
with a lightsaber? Okay.
A monk with a lightsaber was about it. But it was always a love. I mean, look, I don't know how many times I watched the Star Destroyer chase the blockade runner. And just still got chills, especially in THX. By the way, I mean, I did watch it on Laserdisc when I was a kid, so I'm sorry. It was at a friend's house, but other than that, I mean, sorry about your beta deal there, Andy.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go.
How about
Thanks for asking. There you go. Yeah. So how did the collecting bug start? So I'll start with you, Josh. How did that start for you?
Andy actually pointed this out to me, and I will say of the two of us, no, listen though. I mean, Andy is an analyzer. He just told you that he doesn't go to sleep at night because he thinks about Star Wars. All right, this guy's an analyzer. I'm more of a go with the flow, but Andy and I have known each other for a long time, and we crossed paths about 3 years ago as collectors. Even though we'd seen each other around, we live in the same town, and he discovered that I have always been a collector, and it hasn't always been Star Wars. It's just I just would buy things and then throw them into storage bins. That's what I would do. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. I'll buy it and I'll throw it in a storage bin. And just like him, when I got some disposable income, I started buying.
That's called hoarding, not collecting.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'm not walking on it in my kitchen.
Well, now there's a fine line. There's gray area.
It's organized hoarding. You're correct.
Right. Those totes are stacked appropriately.
It's pristine hoarding. But so the first thing I bought with my own money that I recalled was a big investment were two things. It was an original Millennium Falcon, not complete. Thing was a piece of crap. Okay. But and the second thing that I was really proud of was Jedi Vader, Return of the Jedi. Now we have to say that, right? Return of the Jedi Vader on the card. Beat to heck, but on the card. so anyway, And then I realized I was a collector. He came over, and Andy's a major collector, and he found me.
Wait.
No,
he's got a rank now.
He does. Yeah. He's major collector.
I'm very close.
He told you about the G.I. Joe thing, right? You got to give him a rank.
I'm very close to Grand Moff collector.
Yeah. So he came over, and then I started opening bins, and he's like, "Hey, dude, you're a collector," and I'm like, "I am." He's like, "Yeah, you should start putting this stuff on display," and so.
Yeah, when you have a sickness, it's very easy to see it in other people.
So he outed me, and
he's like, "You want some death sticks?"
Yeah, no, and I tease him. I don't know if he likes this when I say this, but I was his mark for a bit because he was over. I was his mark. But it was always Andy's a fair trader. He'll tell you, and I 100% agree. But here's the funny thing: our first trade between Andy and I was not Star Wars for Star Wars. I traded him a transport vehicle, which I had acquired through a collection I purchased, for Optimus Prime. which is hilarious. I since bought another one because I was like, oh man. Yeah. But anyway, that was what was kind of fun. He came over and he just I got this in my truck. It's an Optimus Prime, but he keyed off of something I'd said earlier. He's a true collector.
I also have some candy in my truck.
Yeah. Bring your AT-AT.
Yeah.
And Josh has seen no more. So.
Ice cream.
No, I would like to think that I brought out the best in Josh from a collector's standpoint because I made him, I forced him to realize what he valued and what he thought was important. because otherwise I was going to take it all from
Yeah,
them.
not my kids.
Yeah. Right.
Kids can
Enough of that
you can
college
make
fun.
more kids, but
Remember, it's hoarding until you write it down. Then it's collecting.
Then it's collecting.
Exactly. Do you guys, Todd, I know you collect because we have featured you on our Twitter handle for hashtag Show Me Your Collection twice.
Right.
You were our very first 2-time feature. So we featured your arm sleeve tattoo, which is incredible. And
let's make sure that's yours. Come on, let's see it.
Yeah, and you got that.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry. It's not good for audio, but man, that looks good.
And then you also sent some pictures, and we posted those the following Saturday on your collection. So I know, Todd, you're a collector too. Aaron, how about you? Are you a collector?
I collect debt.
Fair. It's one of the trademarks of being a collector.
It is. I actually don't collect a lot of Star Wars stuff. The only collection I really had for a while when I was younger, I collected Wheaties pennies.
Okay.
So
yeah,
before I want to say like 1943, on the back of the penny was not the Lincoln Memorial, but a couple of sheaves of wheat.
Yes.
And,
what?
And it said like 1 cent. And if you go even older than that, they had a Native American head on the back called Indian head pennies.
Yep.
And I think the oldest one I have.
Do you still have them?
Yes, back in my parents' house. I think the oldest one I had was an 1881 Indian head.
That's cool. So did you
like that's older than Dr. Pepper?
That's when he was just intern Pepper.
Yep. He was completing his residency.
I know we're getting off topic here, but did you get the World War II silver wheatbacks?
I do have some of them. Yeah,
those are cool. I always thought those were really cool.
The steel ones, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, they look silver, but they're steel.
If you just call them credits, then we can keep it on topic.
Exactly. World War II credits. Anyway, where's
I think everybody
Todd?
has a little bit of a collector gene in them.
No doubt. I guess collecting wise, I had a bunch of G.I. Joe stuff originally. That was like probably my very first collection, and I thank my mom for not throwing any of it away. That stuff stayed in her attic because I have 2 younger brothers, and all 3 of us were like G.I. Joe. So from like 82 to 1991, between me and my 2 younger brothers, we just had a ton of G.I. Joe stuff, and my mom kept it all. Some of the boxes she kept, she put all of the helmets and guns and backpacks in a couple coffee cans. I mean, she kept all of it. I mean,
your mom's a real collector here.
Yeah, well, my mom comes.
She's Grandma.
Grandma mom.
Grandmom collector. She is a grandma now. But anyway, so I had all those, and my brothers weren't interested in really keeping them, so I took them all and kind of displayed them in a case. And but like you said earlier, I think we all have some sort of collector gene in us. Like if it wasn't G.I. Joe's, I had a record album collection for quite a while. Ton of Star Wars stuff.
Why didn't I mention that? I collect records too.
Oh, hey, right on. There you go.
I've got about 500.
Did you guys just become best friends?
Hey,
I think we did.
So, other people collect cars, coins, there's a lot of ways. And even within the Star Wars world, there's a lot of entry points to collect, like Black Series, Funko, posters, vintage stuff, the list goes on.
Pick your poison.
Exactly. And that's why I think that's what makes kind of our little collector group and even, meeting guys like you guys, there's just so many different entry points into the fandom. Like Josh and I express our fandom through our collections. Like you get a really good idea of what we're into just stepping into our home. And so,
you're like, whoa, I'm going to step back out right now.
Yeah. If you,
while you still can,
if you make it through the shield doors. So, but I definitely agree with you. We all kind of have some sort of collector gene in us where we surround ourselves with things we love and make us feel comfortable. So,
right. Yeah. Well said. So should we talk about this actual deal of merchandising?
Moichandising.
Let's do it, because if it didn't happen back in the day, we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking now.
Right, exactly. So really, here's the deal. Fox didn't think this thing was going to make it. So I find it very fascinating that Lucas bet everything on this. He just like, I'm going to do this. So Fox basically said Lucas passed up an additional $500,000 in directing fees in return for keeping licensing and merchandising rights for himself.
Right, and that's
$500,000. Who is that
$500,000.
Fox exec?
Yeah.
I want to know who wrote that up. Ooh.
That's $500,000 in 1976 too, by the way.
Right. So it's significant money. You know, it's like, hey, you know, you'll give you it's like kind of like a 500,000 spot bonus, you know, for directing and that kind of thing. And Lucas is like, no, I'll keep the merchandising and licensing rights to myself. And Fox at that time, even though they were allowing him to get extra money for, you know, the reshoots for the cantina, and this thing was kind of getting to a point of high dollars, you know, in 1977 dollars basically, and they're like, this thing is not going to work, you know. And so Lucas bet the house. He's like, yeah, I'll keep it, you know. And Fox is like, oh, okay, you know. So
how very short-sighted of them.
Right.
Yes, exactly. So in 1978, more than 400 million Star Wars figures flew off the shelves for a gross sale of more than 100 million.
Wow.
So he took that 500,000 and said, you can keep that, Fox, and just literally made 100 million. And if you haven't read The Making of Star Wars or The Making of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back or The Making of Return of the Jedi, those are all great books. And really, a lot of the money that he got from the Star Wars figures and merchandising, he was able to use that and put that in special effects in ILM for Empire Strikes Back. And then the same thing for Return of the Jedi. And then when you get to the prequels, he's self-funding everything. It's all his money. And that's how much money he made, you know. And just for, you know, historical purposes, 2011, you know, this is a little bit before the Disney deal, obviously. There's no new Star Wars movie out there, but it brought in $3 billion.
Is that all?
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great to be in a place where you spend $100 million of your own money to make a movie, so that you could make $500 million in return? Like, what a crazy idea. That's tough for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
Well, you know, again, the Disney deal happened. What was that? Was that 2012?
Yes.
Yes. So he just made $3 billion on merch, and then sold the rights to the company for $4 billion in the next year.
So about that, I got a stat for you. So Disney bought Star Wars from George Lucas for $4.05 billion. In the last 6 years, the movies by themselves, just the movies, have grossed over $4.8 billion. So that's just in the movies. They've recouped that rather quickly. So good investment on Disney's part.
Hold on, I'm checking to see if Iger sent us that email yet. Nope, we're still good.
I mean, I don't know how we could pump them up anymore.
Josh, here's my financial standings for today.
The movies, all of the Star Wars movies together have combined worldwide have grossed over $9 billion, which is pretty impressive for a list of, I think, 11 movies total, with more to come, of course. But the merchandise has grossed over $32 billion.
That's ridiculous.
If that gives you any context. And by estimates, will be another $1.5 billion every year. So
well, and that's the funny thing. I mean, there's all these other things you just talked about, like, you know, the flea markets, the trade shows. I mean, that's all cash. That's not stuff that
no tracking.
Tracked. Yeah, there's no tracking. That's just like in the store retail.
Right.
There's all this subculture that we just kind of talked about as far as just the trade, you know, just trading and stuff like that. That's a whole it's probably more. I'm sure there's a little estimate built into that 3 billion or our estimates here, but I mean, there's still some cash.
Oh, it's significantly more. I mean, I think Andy and I operate on maybe a 90% outside of the regular retail channels. I mean, you can't even consider eBay a retail channel.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. The secondary, third, fourth level markets, they are thriving.
What's the fourth? I mean, I'm down to third, but what's fourth?
Fourth, I think, is like
fourth is Alley.
Bitcoin.
Fourth is Alley. Yeah, Bitcoin.
Goodwill. That's a few levels down in Coruscant there.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, so I mean, here's the deal. Like, every movie now that comes out, I would say almost any kind of blockbuster movie has that merch part. And really, Star Wars is really one of those first film franchises that kind of brought that to the level where, like, oh yeah, new movie's coming out, you know, it's going to have toys on the shelf. And this is something new. And in fact, they couldn't get the toys on the shelf till Christmas of that year, you know.
So
and
they put Star Wars on toothbrushes, lunch boxes, Dixie cups.
Underwear.
He didn't say, George Lucas didn't say no to much in 1977 as far as, can we put a logo on that? Yes, we can.
Absolutely.
And
I don't think anybody said no to much in 1977.
No, and that's why Josh and I are here. So, no, it makes it really difficult for me to take people seriously when they say Disney's tanking and, you know, and when people say that merchandise sales has gone down or it has dipped, it's only compared to Star Wars. It's not compared to any other toy line because they do so well. Like when Josh and I were talking about this earlier, by comparison, Solo made a crap load of money, but not compared to Star Wars movies. And so that's why it gets a little bit of a bad rep, I think, among Star Wars, because the bar is so high. You know, Disney wouldn't be putting out Galaxy's Edge in 2 locations costing millions of dollars if it weren't
billions,
if they weren't successfully bringing in money in multiple ways.
Yeah.
I just wonder when Disney's going to get their act together and just figure out how to make money. That's the main thing. I mean,
no, I mean, it's
Steamboat
just,
Willie.
I think it, yeah, exactly. Right. I just think it's amazing that George had the gumption to just say, I'm going to make some money off of this and try to win. You know, like, I think in his mind all the time, he didn't want to be Hollywood. He was just using them as much as he can. And he's like, I need to kind of fund my own thing, and I might as well bet on my own product to fund that. And I think that's pretty amazing.
It seems like too, and this part is Hollywood because they make movies about this all the time, but it feels like that in anyone who's ever been successful in any facet of life, but you see it a lot probably in like sports movies and stuff. But there comes a point where they go all in on themselves. Right. They bet on themselves. Yeah. It's right at the fork in the road, and they say, you know what? I'm going to do this my way, and I'm going to live or die by the results. And you know, for a lot of people, sometimes that doesn't work. But but we only get to talk about the successful.
We have a podcast now.
Yeah. And so like, but for all the successful people, you know, George Lucas, he bet on himself, bang, and it paid off in incredible ways, and it still is. And it allowed him to do basically whatever he wanted to after that. So there's those moments, you know, and there might even be moments in your life too where you could look back and say, you know what, I just kind of needed to go all in on what I thought I could do.
That's right.
And you got to live with the results. So
it's kind of a the more you know moment right there. That's little G.I. Joe tie-in.
Nice word. Little G.I. Joe. Right.
Na, 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 na. Lucas, my take on Lucas is a fantastic dude to kind of study and look at. I mean, if you think about just to hit your point really quick. I mean, he literally did a spaghetti Western in space and sold it in a market that already had Star Trek. It already had, I think, was Battlestar pretty close in there. I don't know if it came before or after.
Battlestar actually came out after.
Right. So they were riding the Star Wars wave a bit.
They were riding the Star Wars wave, yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely like a sci-fi type of thing where Hollywood was willing to accept these kind of fantastical movies that were outside of what they were used to. And he went all in. The only thing that you get out of Star Wars that I don't think, and you know, we joke about Trekkies and we don't say Star Trek on our pod. You know, it's a joke. I grew up on Star Trek. It was a fine. It's a fine show, right? But I don't have a room dedicated to it at this point, so I need to make sure I stay on target here.
Yeah, right.
But it was pretty. You know, he made basically a romance in space that made you believe that these people were doing what they did a long time ago, and it's crazy, and that's how I feel. What he did with the prequels, and you already said this, he funded himself. I think George needed a little bit of a leash at that time, but I don't know.
He was writing scripts before right before they were shooting.
Right,
no one got to look at the script.
Right.
Yeah, if somebody looked at the script, you're like, dude, we got to rail this in a little bit. I think it would have been a lot better. But I don't
think he went away from his main theme. I mean, if you think about even Star Wars, it still had a governor. You know, I mean, you know, Grand Moff was doing it still involved politics at some level. The only thing is he went a little too far. We had a full Senate building. We got to watch dissertations. There was a filibustering going on. It was terrible, you know, but other than that, it was still what Lucas originally envisioned. Now, what Disney's doing is they're taking the best parts of that and some parts they've added and trying to, you know, keep that action going. I'm interested in especially what you're talking about, that Lucas declined to help on Force Awakens. That's what kind of blows me away a little bit, is that he gave up his baby like all the way, like no visit rights, no nothing, which I think they gave him the option to do. So that's an interesting thing.
I think part of that was he was mad too. I think, you know, as creative, you get, you know, again, with the prequels, you get this. Now it's cool to like the prequels. It wasn't cool.
That's
10
funny.
Years ago. Yeah, it's 10 years ago. It wasn't cool. I mean,
those darn millennials.
Those millennials.
Softies.
I think he got burnt out. He's like, why would I want to create anything more? Again,
I mean, all that money, all those billions. He's like,
they're gonna hate me, but they're still gonna buy my merch.
Yep.
Okay, I guess I'll, you know. But I think he also saw, like, from a creative perspective, like he wanted it to continue, and he felt Disney. There's already a partnership there, and he thought that was probably the best bet, you know. But he's come around. I mean, you know, now he's visiting. You know, he talked to Gareth. He was on set with Gareth for Rogue One. He, you know, talked to Ryan Johnson. He's been on the set for Mandalorian, and
so not full deadbeat dad, but he's he comes around. He comes in. They call Uncle Lucas when he shows. Oh, this is your uncle,
right? Yeah, right. He was on the first set, you know, first day of shooting for Ron Howard, you know. So, I think he supports it a little bit more than at that 2015 breakup, you know. Yeah. So.
Well, he did get $4 billion out of it, so I'm not going to feel too bad for him.
Well, here's the other thing that really is not said about it. It's not that he got $4 billion; he got $2 billion in cash, and the other is in Disney stock.
Oh my gosh, which is still
which is Disney, up, by the way.
Yeah. So if Disney makes money, he makes money even more. Mm-hmm. So again, I think you said it right, Andy. It's just like, you know what, he bet on himself, and we're reaping all those, you know,
that gamble,
all that gamble 40 plus years later, you know. And, you know, you play that what if game. What if he did get that Flash Gordon rights? We would have Flash Gordon podcast now, and not
wait. I think you just started something here. Hold on. It's a great idea. Aaron, start over.
Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. Thank you for listening to
Aaron's collecting podcasts.
WSLS, the Flash Gordon podcast.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's true though. I mean, that's another thing that kind of keeps you up at night. It's like, if he got the rights for Flash Gordon, would we be having this talk about Flash Gordon 40 years later? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of Star Wars. It's, you know, not only did he want to create that spaghetti Western, but it's that mythos that drives a lot of what this is, and merchandising. You know, it's those two, I think it's those two evil, you know, the evil of consumerism and this spiritual aspect I really find fascinating in Star Wars.
So you're not the only one.
If you don't, yeah. So I have a quick question. How do you think social media has affected? Just quick. I wanted this to be quick because you can go really deep down this. But do you think that people think more about Star Wars movies and their construction, and because of social media, obviously, like, did we lose a little bit of the magic that Lucas maybe Lucas had to stop because he realized that it was no longer just in his head, that the speculation and the theory, I mean, even Andy and I are guilty of theorizing about what's to come and all that maybe drove it at like, hey, look, it's no longer mine. It now belongs to the world, and they expect this, which is what he might have gotten from kind of the prequel responses. How do you feel about that? I mean,
well, I think Last Jedi speaks volumes for what you're asking.
Do you think it would have said the same thing if Lucas directed it?
Yep.
100%, huh?
I mean, because he was on some James Cameron thing or something. He's talking about he would have done a lot more into the midichlorians and more of the biological aspect of the Force and like have it very. And in fact, he did give them a script because he was already pitching this to Harrison, Mark, and Carrie before he sold it to Disney. He was kind of like, hey, I might try to do this. And I think he's like, nah, I'm just going to give them the script and they could deal with it. And they tossed the script. Like, yeah. I mean, there's probably ideas that were there that they borrowed from that young, you know, the younger generation, older generation. And again, that's part of Star Wars is like you're dealing with the last generation's kind of sins and kind of figuring out what to do with that. But I don't. Yeah, I think social media in itself has taken some of that magic away, and we're all become smart marks. You know, that's a wrestling term. If you know, like we're just marks. We know everything, and information is so readily available to us. Like, you know, when we're kids, not Aaron, but us kids.
Poor Aaron. You're so young.
Sorry, Aaron. We just showed up. We just showed up.
I'll sit here in the corner of my dunce cap on.
Digital dunce cap.
Right. That I got at Fortnite. But the thing,
you, Todd?
I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry. The thing is like when we went to the movies, the preview we saw is coming out the next month, and we didn't even know it was being made. So like when I saw the Jurassic Park trailer, I'm like, dinosaurs on the big screen. It was there. Now we know. Yeah, right. You know movies. You know before anything gets created, who's talking what, and there's a buzz about that. And, you know, and obviously Star Wars suffered some from some of that. You know, oh, this director's picking it up. Oh, we fired him because Fantastic Four stunk, and then Jurassic World. Oh, that wasn't really Colin Trevorrow. He can't do it, and you know, then we fired Lord and Miller on the set. I mean, there was a lot of behind the scenes that was right there in front of everybody, and I think that kind of killed. You know, that's being that magic that. You get into that gunk, it steals away from what Star Wars is supposed to be for majority of people, and obviously that's somebody else's passion. It's just I want to debunk Star Wars as much as I can.
Yeah, you know? It is. It's interesting. Well, thanks for answering. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to that question. It's
right. Did I answer that?
No,
right?
you did. I mean, and part of it's like we all enjoy kind of the exposure we get too. Like, hey, we get to every morning you can wake up and you can find a new piece of Star Wars news, right? And but sometimes I wonder, and you just made that point. I love that example of like you would go to the theater, you would watch a trailer and be like, holy cow, that's coming out. And then you just wait.
Yeah.
You couldn't go watch it on YouTube and watch it 3 times and analyze it and wonder why Rey jumped to the left and not to the right when she did the backflip.
Right. Who are those furry hands?
Who are the furry
and
hands?
Why are they touching Darth Vader's mask?
Right.
And
So, yeah.
Or it used to be, even when I was growing up, like before social media really took off, it was like you had forums and
blogs.
You know, somebody would post an article, you'd post it on a forum, or you'd email it to your friends or whatever, and it was still kind of like separated, where you'd have the discussion about it, but you know, it wasn't a huge piece of content with every little bit of information that leaked out.
Right.
Maybe you'd have some set photos or whatever, but it was still very much like a black box mystery of how it was being made. But now with social media, what it's done is, like, the internet, it's like the collection of human knowledge and experience.
Right.
And you used to not be able to access it directly. You'd be on the forums and whatever. But with social media, it's like it's connecting that knowledge to every individual.
Yeah.
And so now everybody thinks that they're an expert because they
we just proved that. We have a full panel here.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's connecting it to individuals so that it's real time, and we all get to, you know, attack each other for differences of opinion, which really sucks the magic out of Star Wars, where it's no longer this complete tale that's being brought to you by the campfire that you get to listen to.
Right,
it's like,
exactly.
By the
you see
Ewok
every
campfire?
stumble and mistake. Yeah, exactly. You see every stumble and mistake along the way, and then by the time it arrives, you're like, you've already. It's as if you've already seen it and had an opinion about it before you even walk in.
Right.
I will.
So it's like, how can that be magic at all?
Right. I will answer this question again, Josh, with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ooh, that's pretty powerful. That's a very good example. I mean, it's laughable, Aaron. I'm with you, but that's powerful.
That's exactly where we're at. So
where, like, the public can make that big of an impact that quickly.
Yeah, so Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, again, that's another thing that's sketchy, is video game movies are very sketchy, and you know, you have
Sorry.
Exactly, just like that. All right, now I'm trying to get back on topic.
Sorry.
Here. It's okay. So Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, they released the trailer, and everyone's like, I don't like him.
I don't like him.
I don't trust that guy.
More than that, they were like, I don't like him. Change it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't like that guy's
That's apparently
teeth.
what they're doing.
And I don't like these teeth. I don't like him. And then, you know, and literally all the creative, that's the funny thing about the collective creative, is doing all these, like, here, I just took 10 minutes in Photoshop and made it better.
That's what I was going to say. In 20 minutes, you had a better Sonic the Hedgehog on the screen. You're like, uh-oh.
Well, and that's the other thing, I think, from a creative, like, there's more than just, movies are like, it's a whole horde of people behind the scenes, you know? So you just poo-pooed this animator that just animated like 7,000 frames of whatever, you know?
His wife divorced him.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the other thing is, like, Sega signed off on this bad boy. You know, that's the other thing. That's their property. Like, oh, yeah, he looks good. And then 5 minutes later, the fans are like, what the heck is this thing in front of me? This is not Sonic. It's not my Sonic. It's like, you know, not my Sonic.
Hashtag not my
Sonic. Terrible society.
I mean, that's, but that's exactly where we're at. And what happened? It's delayed now.
Well, good.
Now. So, but I think that's the problem. Every time something comes out creatively, people are like, either I like it or I don't like it. And based on my opinion, it should be changed. And that's that entitlement thing where it's like, this is not your property. And I think that's the problem. Unfortunately, what happened with The Last Jedi, it's like,
Andy's
technically Star Wars is not ours.
Andy's got
as much as we want it to be, you know.
Andy's got a great line on this one. Say it, Andy. It's your best. Okay. It's your best line.
This is having to do with you know, people coming up with fan theories and stuff like that about what they think is going to happen or what they kind of want to happen. But they get to a point where they believe this is what should happen so much that their predictions become their expectations. And then they're obviously not the ones making the movie. So they're going to be let down. Like they're setting themselves up for disappointment by believing in so much what they think should happen, needs to happen, that they're inevitably going to be disappointed. Like they're doing it to themselves. The people that are pissed off the most are the ones that have done it to themselves.
And that's your line. You said, if your predictions become your expectations, you will be disappointed.
You'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think, why go to the movies then? Why not just show up and, draw your own movie or something on your whiteboard?
I'm just going to make my movie on my iPad. I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Plenty of people do. I mean, there's some weird weird videos on YouTube.
And we've seen them all.
Right. I was going to say, Andy's like, I've watched 90% of them.
I can rank them if you want.
Here's the order you should watch these.
Right. Exactly. Well, I would just say, I think in conclusion, I think George made the smart choice.
History will look back kindly on him.
Yes. If not his chin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those sneakers.
$4 billion, bro. I'd have a big old Jay Leno chin after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, George. I love you.
George, we do love you. I mean, I think it's just one of those things that without that decision, I mean, it could go like, you could play so many what if scenarios. It's like, oh, so Fox would be now, if you really want to play on it like real quick, Fox would be owning Disney right now.
Yeah, it could be switched.
Yeah, totally.
It could be switched.
Foxyland.
Where I mean, just think about that too. That's like a whole nother. It's like a whole
Foxyland. Foxyland, Josh.
You just walk and get
Foxland.
blinded by spotlights. You're like, oh, that's another great ride.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's so paramount. Like again, and just not that one man's decisions can kind of change stuff. And
love you, George.
Love you, George. Yeah, exactly. Aaron, shall we move on to the news of the week?
Let's do it.
And now, the Star Wars news of the week.
All right. So, Aaron, what's our first item on the docket here, my friend?
First item on the docket here. So this comes from us. I think I had the wrong article opened up. Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay.
What does that mean?
It means we're going to the right article right now.
Okay, good.
So this is from ABC News. Meet Ken Nightingale, the mysterious pink shorts boom guy, my hero from Star Wars that cosplayers have plucked from obscurity. Okay, so all y'all know, if you've been to a con that has Star Wars in it whatsoever, you're going to have your typical characters: Darth Vader, stormtroopers, Jedi Knights, monks with laser swords. But you're going to see some weirdos. You're going to see some people who it just doesn't make sense. And here is where we see pink shorts boom guy. So it's basically someone who has just shoes and pink shorts on with a sound boom pole.
Yeah.
He's not a character in any movie.
No.
He doesn't have an entry on Wikipedia, but the inspiration comes from a 1976 behind-the-scenes photo of the Star Wars crew filming on the Mos Eisley set, surrounded by the Tunisian desert, and he decided, you know what? I'm just going to do the smart thing here. I'm going to get as cool as possible, and
wear pink shorts.
Yeah, he's just stripped down to his neon pink tight short shorts. Black socks and brown work boots.
Yeah.
And he's the sound guy. And people didn't really pay attention to it until, of course, Reddit.
Of course.
When
the
it
internet.
popped up. And nobody knew who this guy was. He's gone anonymous. He's been the silent hero in the background. He's not even in the credits, but people have hunted him down, secured a bounty on him, and he was found in the corners of the galaxy, and his name is Ken Nightingale. So he is now 90 years old.
Wow.
He's living outside London, and he says they seem to like it, referring to the photo. Good for them.
I think he was referring to the pink shorts.
Right.
Equally as likely.
Right, exactly. So
He should do a then and now picture.
Josh, did you right? No, the internet would not be the same. Did you guys go to Celebration Chicago?
We did not.
Just stab us in the heart.
Right,
Okay,
right in the heart, Todd.
The only reason I mention this is because that's the first time I saw people dressed up as this guy, and like I feel like I have a really good knowledge of the Star Wars universe, I guess. I don't know. And I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. You know, that's like too deep of a cut. So there was like 5 of them walking with the hoods, the running of the hoods, and they're in the middle of these guys. And I'm just like, all right, this is too much for me. I don't know what, because it's my first experience running the hoods, first of all. And then
That's funny.
which is also, that's a deep
Yes.
cut. And then there's Pink Short Guy, Boom Guy, and they're all like running with them, recording them or fake recording them. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what this guy. So
Well, it's probably become a bit of a contest now. Who can cosplay the most obscure Star Wars reference of anybody?
Yeah.
Like this guy is in one picture, right? He's in.
He's not even a character.
He's not even credited for working on the movie. He was in a shot. Right, that somebody randomly took, and it made its way into a magazine. I think it's one of the old, like making Star. Was it in one of the Making Star Wars? I can't remember where it originally surfaced. But this guy was, and then somebody saw that and said, "I'm gonna be that guy at the next Star Wars celebration, and nobody's gonna know who I am."
Full cred.
So Star Wars fans are the best for reasons like this. The running of the hoods is hilarious. And I mean, I think that moment at celebrations now, the running of the hoods will be where obscure Star Wars reference cosplays will gather. And
who's just going to go as a grain of sand? I think I might just do that next year. A Tatooine grain of sand.
Yeah. The guy went as the island of Octo. So, I mean, like you might as well be a sandy desert.
Sure.
I could be Andy Desert.
Andy Desert.
There you go.
There
You heard it here
Crack
first.
the code.
See you at Anaheim, everybody.
I'll be there. Right.
Will you guys be there?
I won't.
No.
Maybe not. I don't know.
The
future is always in motion. I can't say no, but
all right, fair enough.
You know, yeah.
I don't know. The sponsorship money you're going to get from this pod alone will probably first class tickets. Just telling you.
We'll send a collection plate around.
Right. If only our merchandise, Aaron, would make $4 billion, we could own our own celebration.
You can pick us up on the way.
Yeah.
We need to make a cameo behind the scenes in Star Wars, and then some merchandise based off that cosplay.
Get your pink underwear.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad you didn't say pink shorts, so I'm glad you just left that out. And
maybe the four of us should do that and do on Twitter who wore it better.
Maybe not.
What?
No,
that's a bad idea.
No, let's not and say we did.
All right,
sorry.
I'd have my money on Aaron. So
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Well, Aaron's like, maybe we should try this. I mean, one time.
Tell me more about these pink shorts.
I need to win something in my life.
Oh man.
Sorry, continue. We're interrupting the news. Go on.
Where are we at?
This is why you need Heather, guys. Come on.
I know she
get it
She'll
together.
ground us.
She is the very dependable glue that keeps the podcast together.
Yes, exactly. All right, moving on. This is sad news, but it's the Rutger Hauer passed away.
Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer passed away last week.
And broke my heart.
Me too.
He played probably one of the coolest bad guys, Roy Batty, in Blade Runner, which is another 1980s sci-fi movie that doesn't get enough praise. But Ridley Scott directed that, and Rutger. I mean, he was awesome in this film, and he plays a bad guy.
Just about everything.
That is. Yeah, just about everything.
He's a great bad guy.
He's a great bad guy.
Rutger Hauer traumatized me as a young child with his portrayal of John Ryder in The Hitcher. That was one of the scariest movies. And I watched that it was R-rated. Like, you can't watch R-rated when you're a kid. But I think Dad was like, all right, you can watch it. Come on. You can watch this, son. Just don't tell Mom.
Right.
It was terrifying. So Rutger Hauer has scared the crap out of me since I was about 7. Go watch The Hitcher.
He played a hero in Split Second.
Well, and don't forget Lady Hawk. Oh my gosh. Go watch Lady Hawk right now. Lady Hawk with
good.
Matthew Broderick, and the whole movie is scored with a literal Casio keyboard. It's fantastic.
Oh, dude, are you serious?
No joke. Full synth through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing Twitter wasn't around then.
No synth.
Oh, yeah, they'd be picking it apart.
This soundtrack is awful. Replace it.
It's lazy.
No, I love Lady Hawk. If you haven't watched Lady Hawk, go watch Lady Hawk.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been in a bunch of movies: Buffy the Vampire, Sin City, Batman Begins. He's a corrupt executive running Bruce Wayne's family business.
I was trying to remember who he was. I was like, he's in Batman Begins.
Yeah, he was the priest in Sin City, man. He was a creep.
Oof.
He's such a good bad guy.
He is.
He is such a good bad guy. So, so he was, I think, 75. Yeah, he was 75.
That makes me very sad.
Again,
but
yeah.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Blade Runner is my favorite film.
No, it's awesome.
And
his portrayal in Blade Runner was. I just watched that last year because I had watched it when I was very young, and last year I watched it with as an adult
with intention.
Like, holy moly! Because the new one was coming out, so I'm like, hey, I want to see what they're doing with this. And Harrison and him, man, it is a great. It's dark. It doesn't make you feel good, but it's great. So I'm sad to see.
Let me bring this full circle here. I have that on Laserdisc.
Yeah. Yes. Viewing party.
I thought you were gonna I have his action figure.
I'm wearing pink underwear. That's what I
think.
One at a time, Josh. One thing at a time.
Yeah, that circle will close.
Right. All right, Aaron. What else we got, man?
All right. So we have an opinion piece from the site Dork Side of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
Is Lucasfilm putting out too many novels?
Oh,
no.
So,
moving on.
I mean, what? What's going on?
Good night, everybody.
Lucasfilm. I want you to do that in 1940s voice again.
Oh, yeah.
Is Lucasfilm putting out too many novels?
Perfect. Now I feel like answering it.
Investigates.
But it's always rhetorical, those questions. Nobody's going to answer those. Is Lucasfilm putting out too many novels? And then you just move on.
What I found out is whenever there's an article headline that is a question, the answer is always no.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so
this year there were 5 Star Wars books, including an audiobook, that have been released. The latest being Thrawn Treason.
Yes.
There's at least another 5 on the way. 10 novels for adults and young readers will hit the shelves in 2019. Is it just too much?
Nope.
For me, yes.
Nope.
Because I will
we will disagree on this pod.
That's fine. For me, I mean, I love reading them, and I used to read a lot more when I wasn't an adult. But there's so much that's out that I want to read, and I feel like if I don't at least get the cliff notes to it, I'm going to miss out on something it's going to be a question mark for me later. And so for me, it's too much because I can't keep up. Now for Josh, who does a bit of driving for his work, and so he can audio or audible.com.
Audible, go to Audible to get all your
audible.com/dungeons.
Yeah.
So for Josh, like he has a different opportunity to digest those things, and so for him, he can do that a little easier than I can. But it's not that I don't like the books at all. It's not too much in quality because I think probably all of them are pretty good. At least they have their merits. But man, for me, it's tough to keep up.
It sounds like a selfish answer.
It is.
It's a selfish answer.
I can only answer for myself.
I absorbed Dooku. I absorbed Apprentice, and now I'm halfway through Alphabet Squadron. Oh, Oh,
yes, yeah.
And it's written really well. So if you go on our pod, we
You're just like
tap it. It's written. I mean, I like Alphabet Squadron so far. I'm like, ooh, this might get good. It's getting there. Like I said, I'm not even halfway. I'm like I'm maybe a third. I didn't even look at the.
Josh, I'm already past that. That's
man, no. Not when people listen, because now I'm going to say when you guys listen, I'll be done with Alphabet Squadron. It was fantastic. I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's great. Did you like it? Are you? You did. All right. There's our quick review. Lots of details.
All right. Hey, hang on.
Spoiler alert.
Hang on. Todd and then Aaron, if you've also read them, I want you to rank in order: first, second, third. Jedi and Apprentice, Dooku, and Alphabet Squadron. Go.
Well, I would say Dooku's number one, followed closely by Master and Apprentice, and then Alphabet Squadron. Because Dooku plays like a radio drama in a sense, because they have different voice actors, doing the whole thing. And that's a fresh take. They haven't done that in a long time. Especially they just released it just for audible consumption. And
/WSTR.
I just love that. Yeah, I just love it.
I'm opposite. But I'm opposite of you. Alphabet, I haven't finished, so I can't rank it yet. So it has to be third.
Yeah.
But I'm Apprentice, then Dooku. Because I was a little taken aback by the radio production. I felt like we lost story for production. That's it. That's it. But I liked what they did. I mean, I thought the voice actors were awesome. I mean, Dooku was awesome.
So
Asajj
Josh,
was awesome.
Do you foresee Alphabet Squadron jumping Dooku?
I think that because Alphabet Squadron is a trilogy, that it's going to have some good content. So far, it's good. There's a lot of character development, which we weren't going to get out of those other two books. They had to get the stories in and be done. And now it's going to be like, oh, we made this point and then wait for book 2 and book 3. So
that's a comic, and then you have to go to this. Right. And, yeah.
But I love the books. So no, the answer is no to that headline.
Aaron, what about you, Aaron? Have you read them?
No, unfortunately. They've when they were coming out, I was like up to the neck in schoolwork and such. So it's like, I'm reading enough already. Yeah. I can't take any more. Too many Star Wars books.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's like, no more.
Now, I do agree with Andy when it comes to comics, because I've purchased all and I think you guys talk comics a little bit too. I purchased all the Darth Vader comics for, what is it? They're over there on the shelf. And I haven't touched them, darn it. And I want to. I just want to. And it's just like, oh, man. You can't read a comic while you're driving, so... I mean, you can.
No, you can't. That would be bad. I mean, you could text and drive.
No,
but you can't very well
anyway.
Yeah.
I can tweet and drive, but I can't comic and drive.
Read a full comic and drive.
Art.
Yeah. I mean, I think Star Wars is what you consume. So I think whatever your passion point is that's what you're going to get into. So I think, like you said, I mean, the EU put out so many different books. They were putting out because there was no movies, and now that there's movies, so they're releasing 10 books. Okay, I mean,
sure,
it's gonna tie in, and it's for those people that want to, enrich the Star Wars experience. So whatever that is.
But they do drop some nuggets, man. There are breadcrumbs in all these new books.
Yep,
that are trying to make you understand Rise of Skywalker, and I can't even bring them up right now because I got to go back and like really have a good thought. But when I'm listening to them, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a full tie right there. They're trying to tie you. So
I mean, honestly, I could dissect Master and Apprentice till December.
I love that one. It's great.
I love that.
Well performed too, by the way. Well performed on Audible /
WSTR.
Thank you.
Well, here's a point that the article brings up. It's like, it seems that Lucasfilm is relying on these books to fill in the plot holes that the movies make.
Right.
Which is okay.
So, I mean, we didn't get Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren, their backstory.
Not yet.
That's coming to comic form.
Not yet. And we didn't get we don't have any idea how the Resistance started, so now we're getting a book in November.
Yeah.
And is it a cop-out to say that, they're shuffling off the work of actually building their world to the novelists?
So do you guys remember, I think that the first time I recognized a franchise really doing this was the Matrix trilogy. They did an excellent job of releasing Beyond the Matrix. They put video games out, and they filled in all those holes. And me as a fan who wanted that next movie, so I went and bought the video game with money I didn't have. I bought all the books. I read. I watched the Matrix. What was it called? Animatrix, which was fantastic. So and I was like, thank you. So my answer is always no to content. Like, more content, is that a bad thing? No, give me more content. Now, if it's, I'm not gonna read the what was the one I just saw? My daughter has it. It's some Jedi, it's some young adult, but it's not even young adult. It's like 5-year-old book. It's like, yeah, it's like Yoda's eating Cheetos or something. I don't know. I did not read that one, but I did get it on Audible.
Yeah,
so
probably not a lot of content in that one.
No.
Good Cheeto.
Orange for your hands, be.
Oh, we lost.
Welcome to the Holochronicles.
This is either going to be the worst one or the best one. I don't know.
Heather.
Yeah, I think again, if it depends on what kind of fandom is. If you stick to the books, to answer Aaron's question, I think you have to have, with world building, you can't do that in this kind of space in 2.5 hours. So
I agree.
You're going to have to. And I get mad too, like, oh, we have to explain everything in Star Wars in the movie. No, that's the beauty of a beauty of Star Wars. There's going to be some questionable things that are not going to be solid, like race parents or what the heck is Snoke or what,
pod
like
racing.
There's certain pod racing, right? How did they go so fast? It's just, there's going to be some mystery boxes that you don't need answers for, and that's the beauty of Star Wars, I think.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
So,
but I think we are in agreement. Andy's just, you'll catch up.
I'm just late to the party. That's all.
Catch up.
Aaron and I, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. 5 years later, did you guys read Master of the
Yeah. See, that's okay. So this is what this is. We're just setting it up for you guys to have us back in a couple years, and then we can really.
Andy's gonna drop some hot takes. Did you know that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon did not always get along?
We'll just take up the rear of the wagon train.
Fine with me. Somebody's got to be there.
Oh, man. That's right. All right. How about we move on to Katina Chat? All right. We'll let the guests go first. So I'm going to start with Andy.
All right. So for Cantina...
Any Cantina Chat for us is like anything geeky that happened during your week. It could be Star Wars related or non-Star Wars related, but it's got to be kind of geeky-ish.
That's like, you just want one thing? I mean, like, it feels like that's kind of just weak, just like in general. I showed a good buddy of mine today my Star Wars man cave. And
don't sound so sad.
I wasn't sad. It was really cool. He's just a little younger than I am, but he has a brother who's a little older than me that was really into Star Wars. So he geeked out about some of the things, like, oh yeah, I remember he had one of those, and oh yeah, we played with this, and so that was really fun. And he's got a 7-year-old son who you would have thought just walked into the Holy of Holies, and he didn't want to touch. He was afraid to touch anything and just walked around big eyed and was like, whoa. Cause, I got a, good chunk of Legos in one corner of my room, and he just like stood and stared and mouth breathed. And, and so like, I don't, for as much Star Wars collecting as I've done, not a ton of people have actually seen what I have. So getting to do that, I enjoyed doing that, showing off the room, because there, I mean, and I'm not boasting, but there are some cool things in there. Some things you're not likely to see.
Hard flex.
So did you see those pink shorts?
Yes, they're framed. But their reactions are different. and their reactions to different things are different. So I always like watching to see what they kind of gravitate towards, and what, the kids are different than the adults. And I mean, it's just, of course, I just like for 5 minutes, just watch their reactions, and I get enjoyment out of that because they're kind of, they're checking out something that I'm very proud of. So I don't know if that's really geeky, but probably to a lot of people, that's pretty geeky. It's probably pretty geeky.
That's a full geek move.
That's geeky. Yeah, that's freaky geeky. Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome. Josh?
Yeah. So the geek moment I had this week, which was actually a long time coming, I have acquired too much stuff for my room. Like I used to call it my office, which now I should just call it my, I don't know what I should call it, my money pit. But my lair, which is full. It's packed to the brim with Star Wars stuff, and I have an office at work, which I've kind of had, back in the day when I first put that office together at about, I don't know, that was 2007 or 8. I put like all kinds of what are you doing? You're giving the panoramic.
We're being given a with the webcam,
you're giving
the room.
Oh, there's a barge.
You can't tell where it ends or begins.
It's a circle.
So anyway, long story short, I actually redecorated my work office with overflow Star Wars stuff, and you got to understand that I have employees and people that come in and sit in my office and we talk.
Right. Yeah.
And now when they walk in, they get fully hit with all kinds of Star Wars things that I just had kind of kept on the side, and now I just put it full force out. I'm like, here it is. Sorry, I got it. There's Matt, Peter Mayhew's signature right there. That's Chewbacca. I want you to look at that on your way out. You don't touch it. And then they go out. Yeah,
I can run no longer.
Right. So I did a full decoration. I'm not even done. I still have multiple overflow items that need to go to a good home. They deserve to be. I mean, my collecting point, my favorite collecting point is autographs. For some reason, really? I love autographs, and they give me like a physical connection to the person. It just is. Yeah. And my favorite piece right now is my Fisher Mayhew. I got a Carrie and a Peter, and it's wonderful
on the same one,
the same picture. You should show them. Anyway, no, later.
We're in the shadow of greatness.
Yeah, so that was my geek moment this last week, is redecorating my work office to be like 1,000% less intimidating to anyone as they walk in. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you like that Star Trek?
Well, yeah. Oh man, how's that Star Wars going?
So fortunately for us, Bill Gates came out and said, treat nerds nicely because you're going to end up working for him. And so we must pay homage to the big head geek himself,
Poobah Gates.
Yeah, so thank you.
Poobah Gates. Yeah.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you, man.
His friends call him Billy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we call him Bill Gates.
Exactly. Right. Awesome. Aaron, how about you, man?
Yeah, so a couple things. I've been streaming regularly over on the Twitch. A metal radio show that's also talk, and we talk about mental health. We talk about self-mastery, because I couldn't think of another M word. But basically just improving your life and reducing the amount of stupidity and suffering you have to do.
How does that tie with metal? That's awesome. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so when appropriate, I'll make reference to different metal songs. Like today, I streamed right before the show today, and we talked about forgiveness.
Because he's a machine. He's a machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Starts with them.
Yeah, we talked about forgiveness, and I made reference to, there's a Pantera song called Mouth for War, and it's about taking your desire for revenge and aggression and violence and instead channeling that towards something productive. Tied that in there.
Cool.
But yeah, it's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Mondays are always classic metal Mondays. Everything before the millennium. Wednesdays are basically whatever I want. And then
it's your
Fridays,
show. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So metal, bro. So metal.
But more focus on modern stuff, but a good mix of everything. And then Friday is New Release Fridays, where we only play stuff that's been released that day.
Nice.
Dang.
That's cool.
And then the topic is whatever I want to talk about.
Bendemption.
Exactly. So that's what I'm up to. Twitch.tv/mind over.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And then I got some new audio gear. So for those who don't know, when you plug your microphone before you plug it into anything, it needs to have its signal amplified. If you have a USB microphone, that preamp is built into it. I've got a different kind of microphone that needs an external one, but the microphone that I have, it's so beefy that it needs a better preamp. So I'm in the process of getting one.
Well, yeah, you mentioned this last week. The Russian microphone told you that your preamp was
my
bad.
secret Russian spy microphone. But in the meantime, there's something you can get. This is a Cathedral Pipes Durham. It's very much like a cloud lifter.
Yeah, I was just pointing at ours. I was like, he's going to talk about a cloud lifter.
So it's basically
like
same
Bespin
idea.
Cloud lifter? Is that the bottom of gas or what?
Yeah, it's a mining tool.
It runs
it's a
off.
mining tool.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but it just it gives the microphone just a little bit more boost so that your preamp isn't working so hard. And so ultimately I do need to get a better preamp, which I will once I get paid. But in the meantime, this will help out. This will help with the Russian mic too. That it just brings out a bit more character to it.
Russian mic sounds like a character.
It does.
Yeah, Russian. Yeah, I got a ribbon microphone, and it was made in Russia. It's like all there's no plastic parts. It's all like cast iron.
Nice.
So
It's made out of Chernobyl
Mother
graphite.
Russia.
Yeah, it's made out of the hatred and suffering of Russia. But
sickle edition,
and may or may not be spying on me. Yeah, I got the special Gulag edition.
That's awesome.
It's always
Gulag,
cold.
Yep.
Bolshevik.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to.
That's awesome. That
Dude,
was literally
that was geek. Nice.
Yeah,
It was. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that was pretty geeky. So
And I was with you the
I was
whole
like,
way.
how do I explain what I'm buying without
Yeah.
completely going off the rails?
you're talking about cloud lifters and
Russians.
Yeah.
the Russians and
Oh, Russian mic.
Russian Mike. What's his tagline? What's Russian Mike's tagline?
yeah.
Dos vidonia.
Those with them.
Those
All right, how about you, Todd? What was your geek moment?
I am currently going through Thrawn Treason right now.
Jealous.
So yeah, I'm knee deep in that, and I love me some Thrawn. I love new Thrawn, old Thrawn. I just like Timothy Zahn, so I like anything that he puts out, and I'm really into Jedi or the Thrawn Treason.
Josh
right now,
just had an opportunity to meet Mr. Zahn.
Yeah, I got a TZ
couple weeks
signature
ago.
going on my Thrawn. Yep.
What?
I did.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
well I did too.
Yeah.
So there.
We should high five each other with the hand I shook his hand with. Yeah. Haven't watched it yet.
All right. Oh, okay, that's weird, but yeah.
So
Early June.
as someone who read the original Thrawn trilogy,
Just last week, he has to catch up. No, I'm just kidding.
no, I actually read that when it came out, but in order, in
right.
fact. But how does that compare to the new Thrawn? Like better or worse? I mean, it's objective, I know, but
Yeah, I would say the new one is he's definitely more modern Sherlock Holmes-ish, where Timothy kind of plays in his mind of like the calculations of what Thrawn's doing and kind of playing it out. And it's a good thing, but also like it gets somewhat too much. Like, okay, dude, like, all right, I know you're smart. Okay, you got it.
So
okay. I think the old Thrawn is definitely more of a military tactician and really kind of understanding the more of the whole scale kind of campaign type thing, where this new Thrawn kind of goes into the minutia of like almost every
kind
decision.
of like a Tom Clancy book in a way. Would you?
Yeah, and I feel like, well, I mean, even the reason I bring up Sherlock Holmes is kind of like the our good friend Robert Downey Jr.'s movie. It's kind of like that, you know, when he's doing the fight, he's like, okay, he's coming in, like, you see the play-by-play, or the way Timothy Zahn is writing Thrawn is like you get the play-by-play in his head, why certain things happen. So I think that's kind of cool, but I prefer probably old Thrawn just because he was so still kind of mysterious, where I feel like in this version you're seeing a lot more, so you kind of know more. So again, I'm more
okay.
I like Boba Fett. I like Boba Fett because I don't know anything about Boba Fett.
You get to make up your own. Kind of well, that makes sense because in the original trilogy, he is a character where, you know, Luke has his storyline within that, who's a known character. Right. Mara Jade's got a bit of a storyline in that. You know, whereas this new trilogy, he is the character. He's the main.
He's the story. He's the main dude. Yeah.
I suppose it's a little apples to oranges, but I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Good question. So yeah, that's been my week. I have no cloud lifters or anything like that. So.
Well, you're missing out.
I am.
I guess.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You gotta lift your microphone.
Cloud lifters.
All right, Double A. Let's wrap this up.
Full circle.
All right, you got it, Double D. Thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. Once again, check us out on social media, WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. We want to hear from you. Tell us about your collection, your merchandise, your addiction. So comment, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcast, email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. Leave us a voicemail, 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. You can catch our entire back catalog of episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. Support the podcast at audibletrial.com/WSTR, or our merch store, store.wstrmedia.com. All right. Okay, guys, tell us where everyone can find you.
Hey, you can find us at Holochronicles on Twitter and YouTube. And, of course, find us on all your major podcast networks, like iTunes or Podcast or what's the latest one we got into?
SoundCloud,
yeah,
Google Play.
No, it was iHeart. Yeah, we're on iHeart now, too. So, yeah, just find us. Just search. You'll find us out there. And then, of course,
Instagram.
Yeah.
We do a little bit of Instagramming.
Yeah.
You do a little gramming,
little IG from time to time.
Well, you know, we're such horrible hosts. We didn't even ask like what your podcast is about. So why don't you give the 2-minute?
It's a Star Trek.
It is. It's about the Star Wars.
So our Twitter site, we're most active on Twitter. We try to do a weekly podcast, although the summer has been a little tough to do that for us. But we try to do a weekly podcast where we feature, we do talk a little bit of Star Wars news, you know, what's relevant at the time, but we do things like what we did with you, Todd, which was our hashtag Show Me Your Collection. Every Saturday, where we try to feature a follower's collection, whether it's small on a shelf or it's engulfing an entire room, or if it's, you know, Funkos or new Power of the Force or vintage, whatever the collection is, or even if it's just everything, you know. And again, we did this for Todd. You can look up previous weeks using the hashtag Show Me Your Collection. So we talk about that a little bit. We touch on it. We give a collector tip each podcast, which, you know, if there was really anything that you wanted to get from our podcast, because we feature collectors and collections. That's kind of what we're about, even though we do talk a little bit current events. That's where our enjoyment lies most. So we give a collector's tip, you know, for example, like summertime is garage sale time. So
GS, baby. GS. You got to hit up those GS.
Let me give out a collector tip right now. Whether you subscribe to a local newspaper or a Facebook page that does, you know, secondhand toys or whatever, garage sale listings, go find, get a couple of your friends, especially if you have like Star Wars collector friends or whatever you're into, really. Go get a couple of your friends and then go to the neighborhood garage sales. I don't know if that's a thing where you guys are at, but in this area where we are in the Pacific Northwest, there's 3 different neighborhood garage sales where they just do it on a Saturday, like blocks and blocks and blocks of people all have a garage sale the same day. So it just brings in a ton of people. You get a lot of eyes on stuff and you find great deals. So I'm telling you guys, find the neighborhood, like go to the individual ones that, you know, you drive by and, oh, hey, there's one. If you got a second, pop your head in there, or just drive by and ask, hey, you got any vintage toys out there?
See you later.
Yeah, no. Hey, put that brick down. Throw it. No. But if you have the opportunity to hit a neighborhood garage sale, those are awesome.
Is that an ice cream maker?
I need that for my Willow hood.
I need a broomstick and a Russian mic. But we do, collector tips. We give a Star Wars Easter egg that involves like little things to look for in a movie that has something Star Wars related in it. So like how Star Wars has impacted other or has made its way onto scenes and sets of other movies, as well as Easter eggs within the Star Wars movies to keep an eye out for. But anyway, just little nuggets like that. We try and keep it pretty light. We are generally a positive. I'd
say more than generally.
Yeah.
We'll talk some trash if we need to, but then we'll say, we love you though.
Yeah.
At the end. So it's passive aggressive.
It's passive aggressive, positive.
Yeah.
Just like Twitter. Awesome. Great.
But anyway, that's what we're about. We're into collections. We're into collecting all manner of Star Wars items. And
by the way, you guys are now official. It's official.
It's official.
You're officially part of the Blue Milk Brigade, which is our collector circle of guys that love Star Wars and collect stuff. So welcome in.
Hashtag BNB.
Yeah. Sword. You're in. Yay. BNB.
So just a quick backstory on that. There's a group of 4 of us that we collect Star Wars stuff together, and we help each other out when we find deals. Hey, I'm not going to buy this, but are any of you interested? Kind of that thing. It's a support group. It's a support group is what it is.
It's a drug dealing group.
Support group. My name is Andy. I'm in the BNB. Hi, Andy. But anyway, so we came up with this corny name, and we've actually had our wives make us T-shirts and stuff like that. But
dude, that's legit.
Yeah. So can you see that?
Yeah, that's our logo. Anyway,
but so you guys now have been grandfathered into the BMB because you're Star Wars collector fans, and we are happy to have you.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that's us, man. That's us in a nutshell.
That's awesome.
We'll see you on our show. No, we will.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Can't wait to have you on,
man. Yeah,
thank you so much for having us.
Again, I'm just gonna pander to you. I'm gonna pander to you guys too. I like the fact that you guys said that I was, 2 in a row week.
First time, 2-timer.
First sleeve, bro. That sleeve bought you an extra week. That's a nice sleeve.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Yeah. So, I'm really honored, and I thank you. And it's fun because that's the beauty of social media. Not the negative thing. It's just connecting people and making the world smaller. Because couldn't do this 20 years ago.
No, we'd never meet cool people like you guys.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's cool. Well, we really, really did appreciate you being on here.
So you guys have hit like Holochronicles level time here, so that's great.
We always say 1 hour.
Short pod, right? Short pod. What time is it?
This one will be quick.
An hour 50. Okay, great. Thank you.
Shoot.
It's like a 3-hour thing. You're like, oh man, I guess we should have stopped at some time. No, it's all good. It's all good.
All right. In the hood. Next week, episode 135.
Yeah.
Pat and Charles from Conversations. They'll be coming on the show.
There we go. Trying to keep it positive, man. Keeping the Potter family going,
Yeah. Thanks again for having us on.
Yeah. We'll be listening.
Yeah. No problem.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, guys. You know how we end this thing?
Sure.
All right. Hang on for the ride. Todd.
Now
this is podcasting.
We make it horrible, but it's all good. It's all good.
I'm gonna collect dad jokes.